What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Quantizi with the Christocrats with yet another video for you with some information that you need to know as a Christian conservative and what is going on in the world and how we should think about these things as the world is all on fire, literally on fire. How's it going? Hopefully you guys will smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us for all the information and the latest and the Christian conservative perspective on all things that we deal with in this world. So, there is a story that is still local right now that has the potential to go national. That is yet another issue of race that has come up in the national view. Well, it may go national, and it's something that you need to know about, because if the mainstream media grabs onto this story, then it is going to catch fire and be a hailstorm. And it's something that happened in Florida. You may have seen some little stories or little blurbs about what happened in Florida, but it might get buried because of right now in the end of August of 2023. They're just moving into the hurricane season, and there might be some hurricanes, and that might overtake the story here. But the people that are dealing with it are still going to be dealing with what's going on. So let me tell you really quick what happened. So in Flagler County, Florida, in one of their elementary schools, Bunnell Elementary School, there was a assembly that was had for all black students only. And these black students in particular, the assembly was for those that have been doing poorly and not meeting standards and reading standards for the last 3 years. And so obviously, being that it's only black kids that were there, you can see the issue with it already. So there was an assembly that was had to try to sort of influence the kids to maybe take their schooling more seriously, maybe do better, try to do their best that they can. There was a PowerPoint that was presented, and they were told these things, and there were certain things that were said within the presentation, within the assembly, that offended a lot of people. I mean, the assembly itself was offensive to people, and then there was things that were said in the assembly, in the PowerPoint presentation, that were offensive as well, such as things alluding to, if you don't do well in school, then you could end up in jail. They were also told, according to reports, they were told that if they did well, some of their rewards would be fried chicken, and so on and so forth. That is according to reports. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I am intimately knowledgeable about that county, because that's where I came from, where I went to middle school and high school in Flagler County, graduated high school there, and still have a lot of close friends, people that I know of that I grew up with that live there. And so I have actual first-hand information about what actually went down. And you know that here on the Christocrats YouTube channel, we're about getting down to the truth, and then telling the truth, and then seeing what the godly perspective would be on that truth. And we also know that the MSM, the mainstream media, will take anything they can and use it as a racial bludgeoning stick to push forward an agenda that they want to push forward, regardless of who it hurts, regardless of if it's true or not. And so we wanted to get down to the bottom of this, and it perked my ear because I heard it was in Flagler County. The reason why I'm dealing with it now is because I want you to have the information, the true information, before the story really breaks. Now, it may not break, but if you hear about it or see it on Twitter or whatever, now you will have the actual information. This is first-hand information, not second-hand, third-hand. This is coming from the horse's mouth. Cannot say where I got the information from because the investigation is ongoing at the time. Now, the big brouhaha about it is that the principal of the school has been placed on administrative leave along with another teacher. And because this was seen as racially insensitive, the parents were all up in arms when they heard about it, obviously. But I'm going to give you some background. So first on the principal. The principal just took over the job in July. She was the vice principal of the school for 4 years. She was the teacher of the year. She was vice principal of the year. Voted by her peers, loved by her peers. This is a school that is predominantly lower income, whether it be black, white, or whatever. And there's a lot of black kids there and a good amount of white kids there, but they're all generally, not all, but generally of lower income status. And so there's a lot of things that play into that. And so we all know that across the country, in a lot of states and a lot of schools, that particularly black kids, a lot of them are not up to par. It's just what the facts are. A lot of them are not up to par in their education and in their standardized testing and all that. Now, there's an argument that can be had as far as the validity of the standardized testing, or understanding how to teach these kids, black, white, or whatever, based on how they learn. That's a whole other argument that needs to be had. But as far as this situation, the teachers in the whole arena of this thing, they have been trying to do something to elevate the test scores of the students. Now, the arguments would be, well, maybe they should have just had gone to the parents first. Maybe they should have had one-on-ones with the children first. Well, I can tell you firsthand knowledge that they have tried that already. They tried that already. They would have open meetings for parents to talk about it, and very few parents would show up. Several meetings like that, and very few parents would show up. They would have try to do one-on-ones with these kids and their parents, and nothing seemed to work over the past 3 to 4 years of them trying to raise the level of these kids. And so the notion was, well, maybe we can have an assembly to do something to make the importance to these kids of what's going on. Now, obviously, that was probably very poor judgment in how to do it, but it came from a place of wanting to try to help these kids. And here's the bombshell. The bombshell is that the people that created the assembly, that coordinated it and created it, the people that created the PowerPoint, the people that actually did the speaking at the ceremony were all black. Nobody's telling you that. You're not going to hear that in the news. The other teacher that was suspended is black. They were black people that were trying to create something to help other black kids. But you're not going to hear that. All you hear and see is that the principal was white, and that it was, bad judgment on her fault, which it's to some degree you could think that it was possibly, but I want to pose something to you. This teacher was probably put between a rock and a hard place, because we're told in society that all black voices should be paid attention to. That all black voices except for conservative ones, but black voices need to be paid attention to. We need to believe black voices. You see, we're in a society and an atmosphere where college campuses are holding separate black graduations. You're seeing college campuses where they have separate black dorms, they're calling for separation. Now, certain people of color are calling for separation from the rest of society, and so we're in a atmosphere where willful choice of segregation by the people who are being segregated is something that is getting louder and louder. So you have that on the side. Then you have the black teachers who are wanting to do something, bringing this to the principal and saying, hey, there's a problem. Here we are trying to solve this problem in some kind of way. We need to do this assembly. Now, what if she would have said no? What if she would have said, no, we need to do it a different way? Then what would have been the reaction? What could have been the reaction? The reaction could have been, well, how do you know as a white principal what our black kids need? How do you know you don't know what our black kids need? You as a white person have no input or say in how we as black people should address the problems in the black community in this school. So her taking the advice of the faculty who are black, thinking that she can trust what their judgment, she went ahead and agreed to let this assembly go on. Big mistake. That was the mistake that she made. And she wrote a letter of apology, has been trying to meet with parents to rectify it, bending over backwards, I guess you could say, in apologies for that. The teachers went off script and said things during the assembly that the principal didn't know they were going to say. But, we all know that the buck stops at the top, and so she's taking the brunt of this, is possibly under threat of losing her job, which is a shame, because, what decision could she have made that would have satisfied? They're putting her between a rock and a hard place. This is the result that we get from a culture that is influenced by the culture wars and by virtue signaling and by intersectionality and everything being triggering and people being so sensitive that anything and everything is a cause for an uproar. We live in a society now that everybody's looking for that gotcha moment. Everybody's looking for the moment that to be offended. Where were the parents during the 3 years before? Now a lot of them are all up in arms about this situation. But where are they when it comes to their kids and their kids' education, when they're taking these tests, when they were having PTA meetings, when they're having the time where they can deal with these things and try to deal with these things, and one of the last resorts was to try to have this assembly to try to get something going. But it wasn't good. It didn't work out correctly, and I don't think that anybody in this situation should be fired. I don't think anybody should be fired in this situation. They tried to do something. It was in bad form, but it was in good taste, meaning they were trying to do it correctly, but they weren't. But it was it was executed poorly, I guess you could say. So her name needs to not be dragged through the mud. The teachers, they do need to reveal that the teachers that orchestrated it were black, and the truth just needs to come out about this. So the lesson that we need to learn from this is, number one, be slow to speak and quick to listen, like the Bible says, so that we can know the truth of these situations and be able to judge fairly on these situations, so that we don't side on the side of offense and error and a witch hunt that really is on the edge of everybody's lips, getting ready to be offended at every turn. So we'll see what happens with this story. Oh, and by the way, that whole thing about fried chicken, it wasn't fried chicken. They said that kids that did well going forward were going to get gift cards to McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. That's a big difference than saying the word fried chicken. And that was very irresponsible of the reporters that did that, because they're trying to gin up racial issues, which are not there, which are going to make people angry. And also what happens is we get angry so quick about things that it's easy to be controlled. So we need to put our kids first. We need to have the atmosphere at home, at school, and outside of school conducive for the kids to learn. We need to deal with all the outside issues that make it hard for the kids to learn. We need to deal with the issues in school, like the teachers' unions and the barriers that are up for teachers to actually get involved in the kids' lives. We need to uplift teachers that are doing well, that are fighting hard. They need to get paid more money, instead of administrators that are not even in the classroom, that are not even in the school building, getting these exorbitant pays. So there's a lot that we can do, but one thing we should not do is vilify and demonize one person who was simply trying to do something to do right for these kids. That's all I got for you today. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stay abreast of what's going on with this story, and I'll let you know any new news that's going on. But if you see it hit the national news, now you know the truth. Like I said, go ahead and like, subscribe. If you like more of this content, you want to see more, go ahead and do that. And we will see you later.